The mayor and the city council of the city of Denver approved more than $29 million in emergency rental assistance after the city saw the highest recorded number of evictions in more than a decade. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the city of Denver, Colorado. So I just told you just a few days back about how Phoenix, Arizona is seeing the highest number of evictions that they've seen since the beginning of the century, right? Well, Denver and a lot of cities around the country are seeing equally high numbers. And it's not just the fact that, hey, evictions were frozen for a long period of time and landlords are making up for lost time, okay? The economy's struggling. And this is a key indicator that, hey, the economy's not doing as good as people thought it was doing. And part of it has to do with, rental costs are going up, okay? And that's due mostly to inflation. We have to raise our rents as landlords to keep pace with the fact that all of our expenses are rising. And so it's not 100% our fault that a lot of people are facing these evictions. Now, I'm not saying it's the tenant's fault either, right? Because if you lost your job and it's difficult for you to find other employment, especially employment that pays you enough to actually be able to pay your bills, well, you could fall into financial distress, okay? Now, it is your fault if there are factors involved that did not have to do with the current economy and, that you personally should take responsibility for. Now, my personal belief is regardless of what happens, right, it is still your responsibility to pay those bills, to make sure that the landlord gets the money that you promised them that you would pay. So if that means that you have to cut back in other places, if that means that you have to go find another job, work two jobs at the same time, take on overtime hours, whatever, then so be it. I just read an article recently, and this was an article coming out of Georgia, where they said that, they were talking about part of the eviction expungement process. I believe it was in Cobb County, Georgia, which is in the Atlanta metropolitan area. Part of the eviction expungement process, if you wanted to get the eviction removed from your record, was for these tenants to take financial education so that they can learn how to get in a position where they don't fall into eviction again. Okay. And I think that's smart. I really do think that's smart. And that's the sort of thing that we need to have more of these tenants who are unable to pay their bills. They need to get that sort of financial education. They need to learn, hey, I have to be able to do these things in order to survive, and I cannot depend upon the government to pay my bills for me. Now, that's exactly, though, what the city of Denver is trying to do. They're like, oh, well, you know what? These people, they can't pay their own bills, so we're going to pay their bills for them. And they've approved, I think, $29 million worth of emergency rental assistance. This is not a long-term solution because these people will never get to the place where they're able to pay their own bills as long as they think they have the government there to pay their bills for them. Okay, so the long-term solution is to get them financially educated and to get them to a place where they can make their own payments without help from the government. That's the long-term solution. But a lot of people, they don't want to look at it that way. They see these people as, oh well, they're just stuck in this position forever. No. Anyone can crawl out of a bad position. And just because you have a lower income doesn't mean that you're always going to be struggling with your bills, okay? There's plenty of people with lower incomes who also have no debt and who are doing just fine. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So do you think we're going to see more of this where there are cities, throughout the country who basically are hitting the highest number of evictions ever, okay? I don't know what the numbers are where I live, where I invest. I haven't really been paying too much attention, but, we could be seeing some of the highest evictions throughout the entire country ever. I mean, this is unprecedented totally, and it's unfortunate, but we are at a point right now where, hey, we just came out of the pandemic. The economy's kind of screwy right now, and it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better for a while. So, yeah, we might be seeing other cities, other states, etc., who just are seeing record numbers of evictions. So, anyway, let's get into the article. This article is coming from Denver7.com, and it says, Denver to provide $29 million in emergency rental assistance in 2024 after mayor and city council reach an agreement. Agreement between mayor and city council comes as Denver breaks a new record for number of eviction filings. Mayor Mike Johnston and city council members reached a compromise Monday to decide how much the city will spend next year to keep people in their homes after it was revealed Denver had broken a decade-old record in the number of evictions filed so far in 2023. After being at odds over how much money the city should spend on emergency rental assistance, Johnston and Denver City Council reached an agreement that will provide $29 million in emergency rental assistance in 2024. After working in close partnership with City Council, we are excited to deliver funding for rental assistance that will work both for the city budget and for Denverites, Johnston said in a statement following the announcement. We're committed to not just supporting those who are currently unhoused, but preventing more Denverites from entering homelessness through rental assistance. And see, but like I was saying before, right, you create a culture of dependency. So, you've heard the old saying, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish, and he'll eat forever. Okay, so the problem that we have here is that these people will continue to fall into this financial distress as long as they don't, learn about financial education, as long as they aren't able to actually increase their incomes, etc. So what they should be doing, and keep in mind that increasing your income is part of financial education. So what they should be doing is, providing people with the education necessary. That would be a good governmental function, in my opinion. Teaching people how to get themselves out of debt, how not to make bad money decisions, how to, look for better forms of employment that pay better and offer better benefits, right? And teach them the Dave Ramsey plan, the baby steps. He teaches all this in his book, and it's simple and it's laid out, and it's, it just works. I did it myself. And if a lot of these people who are falling into these financial issues where they can't pay their landlords, if they followed the steps of his program, there wouldn't be a problem, okay? Even with a lower income, you can be financially well off. And that's something that a lot of people, they just don't understand. And, as you go through time, you work your way up through a career, or you jump into different positions that pay better, offer better benefits, better income, you will be doing better off financially, especially, when an emergency comes, you're going to have, 3 to 6 months of emergency reserves just in case you do have a major breakdown of a vehicle, or need a major repair to your home, or you suffer an injury, or you're unable to work. Okay. These are the sort of things that people need to be thinking about, because the way things are working right now, where they are so dependent upon the government and the emergency rental assistance, whether, if they don't get that rental assistance, they end up homeless. Well, that's not any way to live, but people are living that way long term. Okay. They're living their whole lives this way, where they're one paycheck away from complete and total bankruptcy. Okay. And that's dumb. It's absolutely dumb. And these little short term band-aids that cities are trying to put on it with, rental assistance, etc., they don't teach people anything, and they don't make people take control of their own lives and, determine their own fate. And that's what I have. I have huge issues with socialism. I do. Huge issues, because they take away the motivation for people to work hard. They take away the motivation for people to, be creative. Honestly, it just really is a horrible system. Yet, these idealists, they believe that somehow this is the solution. It's not. Initially, Johnston wanted to spend $15.6 million on emergency rental assistance, calling it a significant expansion of what the city normally spends, despite a drop in federal funding. Several council members, however, pushed back and argued more money needed to be injected into the budget to prevent people in a tough spot from becoming unhoused. If we're going to work to get people off the streets and into shelters, then we need to make sure we're stopping people from entering that situation to begin with, said Councilmember Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez, who won one of two at-large seats in the city council earlier this year. You know, I am one of those people who believes that the world it's a sink or swim world. Okay, where if there's not someone there to catch you, if the government like isn't there to prevent you from being homeless, well, a lot of people who otherwise would say, "Oh, I need the government to take care of me." Well, a lot of those people are going to figure out a way on their own to take care of themselves. Okay, it's just a simple truth. Okay, maybe they're not able to pay their bills over here and they get evicted, but they're not going to end up on the street. Okay, they're going to, hey, I might have to go stay with a family or a friend for a short period of time. Some of the people might say, well, we might end up in a shelter. Some of the people might say, well, I couldn't afford this place over here because the rent was too high, but I can afford this place over here where the rent is much lower. And move from a 2-bedroom down to a 1-bedroom, just as an example. So this is what happens in a world where the government isn't there to take care of you, right? The grand majority of people will figure something out on their own. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to see a world where, hey, people are so dependent on the government. If they don't get emergency rental assistance, they're just, I'm just stuck. I'm just going to live on the floor here. No, it's just not going to happen. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a few cases where people are temporarily homeless, and those people, especially if you have any sort of motivation to get back on your feet at all, they're going to be just fine. Okay, they're going to figure something out. They're going to maybe have to stay in a shelter for a short period of time until they're able to, build up their savings enough where they're going to be able to get out on their own. But they're going to figure something out, and that's the truth. Okay, so interesting story, man. Evictions are going up all over the country. Not the landlord's fault. I want to remind everyone of that. Okay, we're facing the same issues with inflation that everyone else is.